Yeah. Yep, alright, awesome. Yeah, good, yep, great. Mummy. It's a film from 1932 by... I'm getting to my notes, I'm sorry. I'm not meant to seem so lazy. I'm professional. Uptight. Uptight? No. I'm sitting upright. That's the one. It's directed by Karloff. I literally have nothing to say about the directing or writing. It's fine. Acting, I'll go into that. Boris Karloff, the Egyptian prince, and the mummy, who is Imhotep. I'm going to butcher these names. He's compelling. Nicely horrifying in his performance, very still, very controlled. He knows what he's doing. He has his glare, he has his control through hands and rings and stuff, and my hand hurts, so I probably shouldn't use it. On the other half, Zeta Johann, I think it is. I've heard it pronounced differently, but I can't remember how it's pronounced. Anyway, she plays Helen Grosvenor, the love interest, to put it simply, but she's also the kind of physical reincarnation of the Princess Axonomin. Yeah. She's also fantastic. These are the only two roles that I'd say really stand out in the whole entire film. Everything else is just pretty much a carbon copy of Dracula. Yeah, it's pretty much the 1931 Dracula redone, but with better music, better sound effects. I'm not going to say better acting, because the acting, I'd say they're on almost equal level. So these films are obviously improving as they go along. I still think Frankenstein is better as an overall, especially with story, mainly because the story is pretty much a carbon copy of Dracula in a way, except that instead of visiting from another place, he's visiting from another age, so, because it was like 3,000 or whatever years ago, this guy was a pharaoh, and this girl was a pharaoh, and now he's a mummy who's been reincarnated, and slowly, literally, he's a mummy in, his first scene, and then it's, the next scene is 10 years later, and he's a normal person, but he still looks like the mummy, kind of, with the dry skin and whatever. So the makeup is fantastic, which is... to say it doesn't hold up. The makeup effects are wonderful. The set designs are wonderful, especially for the Egyptian designs. It was very nicely done. This is back when, a decade after they discovered the tomb of King Tut, so they had a lot of visual references to go along, and they really went the length, and I think it holds up perfectly. It doesn't look like a set, it actually looks legit. So yeah, the Egyptian period is nicely done. The love story has been replicated since, especially in the remake, not the 2017 one, but the early ones. Where, the mummy comes back to life, and there's a love interest in this woman that looks exactly like the love interest that he had back when. And he tries to reincarnate the spirit of her into this woman's body. Yeah. Doesn't have the fight scenes that the new one has, with Brendan Fraser, but all the CGI, but it has very nice special effects. Well, they're all really practical effects, I guess you could say. Yeah, they are. They're all makeup and design. It's great. Overall feel. The film has its own identity, that's for sure, but and you could say it's still different to Dracula, but they're, very much the same film, but in similar stretches. It's not really frightening, to be honest. I didn't think Dracula was frightening at all either. There's no graphic violence or anything. There is actually, when they reflect back on the time when they were Egyptian, the guy was saying how the mummy dude was saying how when I was buried, and they had this whole vision of it. They had to kill off the slaves who buried me, and they killed the guards, and so they show the guards throwing spears at the slaves, and one literally impales a guy, and it's actually shockingly violent. But just a one shot, so Frankenstein definitely is more on the violence scale. Yeah, it's entertaining as a film. It's slow, but entertaining. Yeah, I mean, they kind of do a thing where they dive right into it, like with Frankenstein, but it's such a slow build, but I think that's kind of what makes it intense and makes it scary, because you know kind of what's going to happen in a way, but you're still kind of questioning it. But yeah, it's nicely done. It's definitely it's definitely well done for its period. Rewatchability. I don't think it's needed. You don't really need to watch this film, but I'd suggest it still, because it still has... It's so much like Dracula. It's weird. Like, he has his glare, he has the mind control abilities, and stuff like that. No, he doesn't turn into a bat. He just remains in his physical human form. Overall, good performances, good art design, good makeup. But so much of a copy of Dracula that I think it was actually scripted by the guy who did Dracula, because I remember watching the documentary afterwards, and they mentioned how it had a lot of similarities in the vein of Dracula. So I'm not going to say it is Dracula. It has its own identity, no doubt about it, because it's a different story. But it's just similar. But overall, I think it's a worthwhile film to watch. And that's really all I can say. Watch it just the once, that's really all you need, just like Dracula. But I guess, with Dracula, Bela Lugosi is fantastic. I don't know if you need to watch the sequels, I haven't. Maybe the remakes, sure. I guess that's what they both fit for. They're both really nice in the original 1930s copies, and in most of their remakes. Yeah, it's pretty much all I can say about it. What am I going to rate this? I'm going to rate this, 3 out of 5 Boris Karloff stares. Yeah. I don't know how this grading system works either. Who really cares? Anyway, next up we have Bride of Frankenstein. That one I'm keen for. Keen Luzine? I don't really know what I'm saying anymore. If you really want me to, because I've been watching this on a Thursday and a Friday, because I'm on holiday right now. So if you're wanting me to, if you're saying like, why not do Phantom of the Opera like you said, or whatever, because it was released first. Didn't know it was released. I didn't know this. I thought this was the opera version. Luckily it isn't. So I will watch them next week. So pretty much on the days that this is released, I will be watching those films and doing those reviews. So stay tuned for those. And the sci-fi and Abbott and Costello. Oh boy. This isn't actually a drag for me. I'm really enjoying these films. They're quite fun to watch. And again, you can watch them as comedies if you want to. Alright. Well, I'd say have a good weekend, but you probably aren't watching this on the weekend or on a Friday. So have a good week, have a good day, have fun watching these films. Adios. Let's go get wasted. And then wrap ourselves up like mummies.